Still weird.
This is something I do.
Robot. Still weird.
Hello.
Oh, that's right.
Should probably use the mic.
Hello.
Hello. Hello, players.
Hi, everybody in chat. Shout out chat.
Shout out.
Which I assume because
Shout
we
out
don't
chat.
actually see chat here.
Yes, I'm gonna actually.
I just see a camera.
Still weird.
All right.
Anyway. Thanks, y'all.
This is
Thanks
a
for
natural human experience.
Right. Every human does this.
thanks for coming out. So we got a lot of questions. So we're gonna actually start with some of the questions that came in ahead of time. But we definitely want to make sure that we hit the live chat. So
Should we introduce ourselves as well?
we shouldn't. This happens every time.
Yeah.
This happens every time. Please go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm Eric Chen. I'm the EP executive producer on Legends of Runeterra.
I'm Brian Koplik. I'm senior game designer on Legends of Runeterra. Been here 4 years.
I am Lope, and I'm the publishing lead on Lore. And thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to dive into the questions. So we have an hour, and we are going to try to get through as many as we can, and we're going to take a break. So we got a lot of questions ahead of time. So about halfway through, we're going to hit as many live questions as we can, and then we're going to kind of just do a mix of both because we want to make sure that we also get live questions. So that sounds good to y'all. Then we're going to get started with some of our questions that came in over the last few days. And I think we're going to start with some softball questions.
Yeah,
Softballs.
Easy ones.
About the Spirit Blossom economy. So I'm going to read two questions that kind of would have a similar answer. So is there more of AU events, or was it one time to test the waters? And how do the devs feel about the event now? It is nearly over. What caused you to switch up the economy so drastically for this event from a predetermined and reward structure with a chance to high roll to a completely random all rewards in a single chest structure? And why was it not announced?
Yeah. So first part first, why did we do Spirit Blossom? So we did it for 3 reasons. The first is League Studios, League of Legends was doing a Spirit Blossom event around the same time. And we just thought it would be a natural, great synergistic moment with them. Great example, Otacon, which is now, in League, that came from Legends of Runeterra first as a card. So it just made sense for us to participate in that moment.
And we have the skins.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly. The second thing is we definitely view lore from a long-term perspective, from content cadence. We want to be doing this game for like 10 years, 15 years from now. But we know that we're going to run out of League mains if we do only those, like at the pace that we do them, in a couple of years. So we want to find ways to make sure that content cadence is available at a high satisfying rate. And alternate universe, ways of doing champs was one way we think we could do that we thought would be like fun and cool. And also, like Spirit Blossom from before, the last time we did that as a thematic, it remains our best performing like event. So it felt like it made a lot of sense that this would be the one that we would start dipping that toe in. The third reason is that AUs offer us like actually a pretty cool thematic way to revisit or like check out champions. So the example I kind of use is like, if we think about we're going to do like Azir 2 or Renekton 2, like if we're going to do Shurima again, it's cooler to have a corrupted approach to revisiting that like stuff rather than here's just another take at Azir, here's another take at Renekton, and the theme is just Shurima again.
Right. Yeah, we get to blend like what you know about the champion with a much more significant twist than just like, oh, let's look at it from a different perspective. It's like, no, they're in a completely different universe. How would they act in this way? So
yeah, and it also has a unifying theme that we can then tie interesting things to. You already see with a little bit with Spirit Blossom.
Yeah,
we had nodes that like synergize with the presence of additional ones or how much they're ranked up.
Yeah,
and that AUs just let us do that in a way that doesn't feel like a little. It just feels cooler, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
That being said, we definitely are listening to players in terms of like feedback on AUs, and we know our core mission is to get League mains into the game ultimately, so everybody gets to enjoy theirs. And I'm not at all saying that Akali lovers have to wait until like 10 years from now. That's definitely not going to be the case. So don't think that, it's going to be that long term before you get your league mains, but we want to make sure we have a long-term view of like what we're doing.
Right.
So then next part of it is like, why is the economy the way it is? And there's like really two things. The core thing about why this economy changed, that we thought it's cool to open chests and open them a lot. Like that just is a fun experience. So that was the core thesis. And that's why a lot of the economy was set up in a way that you could get a lot of chests in a lot of different places through like pretty consistent play. What we missed was that it doesn't feel good to open up only 1-star crystal. Like that's clearly true. And so that's like a big learning that we won't repeat.
Yeah. Additionally, just like based on the way the team operates, we do a lot of reuse. So the Spirit Blossom chests are obviously reused Star Vessel chests. And I recognize that there's anchoring around like, oh, this looks this way, so I expect this kind of output. So that's something that I feel like I would either make super clear from the beginning or like do our best to, if we're going to reuse, then it should feel similar if it's going to have a similar shape.
Yeah.
Something to improve on.
Yeah. So I feel like we felt like we had a good reason for what we did, but we didn't execute well in a lot of respects. And that's where the frustration came from. And that's where we're listening. And we feel strongly that we'll make that change.
Mm-hmm.
Totally. Thank you both.
Mm-hmm.
There were a few more questions about the economy. So I'm just going to kind of run through a few and I think pass it over to you, Eric. And Brian, feel free to chime in as well.
Mm-hmm.
So would you address and fix the Spirit Blossom economy? That's the main problem of the game right now. The cost of AU resources, especially star crystals, feel disproportionately high compared to how little they drop. Are there any plans to adjust drop rates or introduce more reliable sources so progression doesn't feel locked behind such steep walls? Will the rates of future AU events also be this low, or will they return to normal? Do you believe that these low rates will affect non-AU champion releases, or will they not be affected? What is the dev team going to learn from this AU event regarding answering player feedback, free-to-play, player balancing, and risk assessment of new chests?
We might want to start breaking these up because I don't think we're going to hit all that.
There's a lot.
I've already forgotten a little bit of it.
It's all right. Okay. I mean, the gist is right. Like, what did we learn?
Yes.
Are you going to change the economy? If not, why? So I think the easy answer is we definitely learned that this economy was more frustration than fun. Like that's definitely the strong takeaway that we got. Even though like a lot of things went well from maybe a product side, we're here to make sure we can have like the fun as well as meet like our business objectives. So I feel very confident saying this way of doing an event, this way of doing AUs is not something we'll repeat. And it certainly will not flow into the core constellation for League Prime, whatever, League Core, mains, or whatever it is. So I think players can rest assured that that's not going to be the case. Some things we did were good and we'll take some lessons from that, but this core structure, especially like from a player experience, we're definitely going to move away from that. In terms of like, did the tuning do kind of like what we wanted? That's really hard to parse out simply because we released a mistuned economy from the start. And then we released a bunch of stuff to compensate for the mistake we made and the bad player experience we had. So it's dangerous for us to try and draw lessons from that, from a tuning like goals and shot calls perspective.
We just did a lot at once, which also just like muddies the, was it the fact that we did 3 champs? What about runes? What about Glory Store?
Yeah. And then adding, a bunch of extra resources into the ecosystem, ultimately it's like very difficult for us to draw like core economy lessons from that. So we're really focusing on the experience that you guys told us was not satisfying as that lesson there. Also, a lot of people ask, why didn't we just like retune chess to like drop 5, right in the middle of things? The past experience has taught me, and it's probably taught other folks on this team, that like retuning it live when it's already like not going from a way that players like just will generally create more headaches than it solves.
You have to think about the player who has cleared all of the adventures already and then the player who has not cleared any of them. So they're receiving very different amounts of resources. And yes, it's a PvE game. Technically, your resources don't affect other players, but like we agree that it doesn't feel fair. Even if you're playing this game alone, to have someone else have received so much more than you just because they waited doesn't sit right.
So ultimately, like trying to like fix it live, not knowing what the outcomes would be, is just too risky from a like trying to make it right and make it better for players' perspective. So we wanted to approach it and do it other ways. One of those ways is kind of like some of the questions that are being asked in that grip is, well, how are you going to get these resources now when the event ends? So for future access to these resources, we are still discussing it. We know there's a couple of locked-in sources. So the Glory Store and the Emporium, as they currently have offers, those will stay. We'll probably augment them in some ways. We know that the Spirit Blossom map will return, just like the Arcane map returned earlier, and the Arcane map delivered a whole bunch of like new resources. So when Spirit Blossom returns, like 7 months from now, that will also happen. We're also building new things, new features, new systems that we also expect to be future sources as well. One of the things I think we definitely can do better is help players understand, hey, this event is not the be all end all of these resources. And we didn't do that well here. Part of that is because we don't 100% know those plans.
Yes, that I say, like that's a miss that we've discussed in terms of like making sure that we have not just captured what we intend the post-event economy to be, but like have very clearly spelled that out for players. I've seen them like rationally go like, oh, well, the stuff in the Glory Store will stay, stuff in the Emporium will stay, and it's like, okay, good, because that is our intention, that those things are like, these will be here, you'll be able to continue to collect them, they aren't going away when the event ends. But we should definitely like have spelled that out.
Yeah. And I don't think it's wrong of us to not fully know the plans, because one, this is a live service game, and two, the best answer to make the best player experience should definitely come from us, like seeing how things are playing out and reacting to players and how you guys both feel, and how you guys are actually doing from the data perspective in terms of like progression and stuff. So we knew that there would be more ways for players to eventually get these resources. We knew that the current rate that players see from the sources in the game now does not represent reality. I know there's like a commenter who's like done the math and said it's going to take me 33 years. And I recognize that from what you know as players, that's what it feels like. And it's a miss on our part to not explain what we know, which is that that's not the intended rate, and it will be a lot better. But we can't give you an exact year increment thing, because we want to make sure we make the best decisions after the event for players.
We saw pretty much the same thing when Constellations dropped. Where I think it was like 13 years to get the fill out a gemstones for a single champ, and it's like there's no way that number is true anymore, because like in our mind we were like, well, Glory Store have it, you'll be able to pick which region. We were also able to add like region choice to the Emporium. So like, yeah, our hope is always that we can kind of meet you where you are, but to start, we just need to like put stuff out there, just like see how the economy is working. And then unfortunately we can't like turn on a dime, right? I saw some people talk about like, why was the second month of the event like not fully retuned or anything like that? And it's like, well, the second month of the event was pretty, like we have localization lock and all-in day around the same time, which is like 2 weeks. Like once a patch drops, it's basically, we go straight into all-in day, which is all features, all major content need to be like ready for that patch and like locked. Because if we start to touch that stuff, it really thrashes our QA team. It makes localization more difficult. So it's like, we unfortunately can't just immediately respond to feedback. It's always going to take like a little bit of time for us to get it in there. And I know that feels like a really long time when you're in it. But we will make this better for sure.
And also, like, we can't just drop things to go all in to try and fix it, because we're working on the next like 2, 3, 4 patches in a row, all like simultaneously. Like, so we get the frustration though. Like, want to be really, really clear. We feel, we know how players feel about it, and we hear it, and we are trying to listen, but we cannot just like move immediately for all the reasons we just kind of explained.
Wonderful answers. There is more, but wait, there's more. And it's also related to the economy. So this player asked, will the trend of alienating a large portion of the player base from major event experiences, mainly to slow their progress so whales receive better treatment, while also making the experience increasingly predatory to push free-to-play players into spending, continue?
Real quick, yes, there are a lot of points there. this always comes back to like, I always want to take any of these questions and reduce them down to like, where is this coming from? And it is just so clear that this was like intensely frustrating for players, due to a myriad of reasons. And like you have some answers for this question, but at the core of it is like, we can't continue to make decisions that upset you. Like that's not how we can run a game. So yes, I want to register that like, we are going to answer your questions. I think you have some good answers here, but like we hear you. This was not something we will repeat in this form. So.
Yeah, and I want to echo what Brian's saying. We definitely know the learning we take from this is that the manifestation of the economy for Spirit Blossom was one that was frustration heavy, and we don't want to repeat that. So that's like a really big takeaway that I think players should hopefully recognize from what we're doing and what we're answering here. But this, softballs are definitely what we're starting with in terms of question answers. So I really like this question, and I ask that we make sure we answer it because I think it helps us address some of those misapprehensions that players have kind of like holistically about Spirit Blossom and the tuning stuff. The first thing I would say is that like, I don't agree that there's a trend happening. So note that before Spirit Blossom came out, we had the Mel and Thresh release, which included the Arcane map, which was a full grip of brand new adventures with a ton of new rewards that were fully free to play with no change in our monetization strategy. So we, right before Spirit Blossom, gave players a whole bunch of extra stuff that we had not been doing before, right? The second thing I would say is that we, where's the next thing that I had? The second thing I'd say is that when we look at the actual progression for players, and specifically I looked at month 2 because month 1 was harder. We both released an economy that was too tight, and then we had some compensation stuff, but by and large we saw that most players, once they opened those rewards, just kind of spent them immediately as we would want on like Ari and Teemo and stuff like that. So when we look at month 2 champions, I did look at the data. I'm seeing that there is more progression for players on like Rune stars and 4 stars and 5 stars than say a comparable period when Constellations was released back in May of 2024. So starting from a similar standpoint, players got a lot more progress. Now, I do want to acknowledge players, right now live in a different world for core Runeterra resources than they did back in June of 2024, right? Like that was Constellations release. It's been out a lot longer. You've had a lot of free rewards. So it is true you can make progress on say Mel or Thresh faster, but even Mel and Thresh don't have their 4 stars and 5 stars unlocked at like the comparable rates to what players are seeing for Kindred and Yasuo and Master Yi. So I do want to note that like progression wise, I don't think we're sacrificing free to play player experiences for dedicated progression. I'll also note that 3-star Spirit Blossom champions among the highest performing in content, especially on tougher adventures. So if you look at 5-star and 6-star adventures, over the past 3 months, only a handful of champs like actually outperform them compared to the Spirit Blossom champs. Right. So, like Azul is better. Unsurprisingly, Azul is Azul. LeBlanc, Morgana, and Yasuo were the only ones that had higher win rates against these higher champions. And we do think 3 stars are accessible to free-to-play players as long as you've been like playing and opening a whole bunch of your chests. Right. And so we don't think we're like gating or alienating core players from that perspective.
And that was also the intent of these Spirit Blossom champions is we aimed them a little higher on power level and with a much higher power ceiling because we knew that we were going to ask for a little more investment in them.
Yeah. I also don't think that the data shows that there's alienation from the perspective of activity. So August, the Spirit Blossom release is the highest performing from an active standpoint that we've had since January. So it's our best performing event of the year by a pretty comfortable margin. More importantly, the number of average hours that players are playing right now is the highest since Fiddlesticks and pretty much the highest since Constellations, other than Fiddlesticks has come out. So it doesn't feel like from our perspective that players feel alienated or are alienated because they're playing pretty much as they've ever been from an engagement standpoint. So more players are playing and they are playing more hours. The next thing I would say is that like the question kind of refers to like free-to-play players being alienated at the expense of like spenders. And I again, because we think that the core value proposition of those players, which is at that 3-star level. That's the experience we think every player should kind of get, is fairly accessible and satisfying. We have philosophically viewed like the higher tiers of star powers as being like kind of luxury items. We don't think it is like core to your experience to enjoy like Legends of Runeterra. And we've seen on like say Reddit, people post like, hey, we beat Lissandra with 3 stars. And that's ultimately what we're trying to going for. If you're a free to play player, you have access to every adventure. You can try every champion at their like core expression of their like kit. And you get to do that all for free with only a modest amount of like play.
I think I just saw a post where somebody took 0-star Master Yi into Lissandra and won, which is just like, there's so much skill expression in our game. You don't need any stars.
I saw one person took 0-star Nora against like a 6.5-star adventure and also completed. It was the one person.
Right.
Whoever you are.
That's not
good job.
That's not standard. Kudos to that person specifically.
Yeah. So part of this may just be a fundamental like misalignment with players about like what they expect about the 6 stars. And we want to be clear about it. We don't think 6 stars are like the core experience of Legends of Runeterra champions. We view them as like aspirational, higher end content, and it should make harder content easier, but it's not necessary. It's not like a paywall to we think like what Legends of Runeterra's like experience is. And that's maybe that's an expectation that players didn't have, and that they think 6 stars is like the core necessary experience, and that's just philosophically not where we're at. Ultimately, I'd say like this is a lot, of course, about the monetization strategy stuff. We're not going to deny a lot of the things that we did here. We thought were both fun, but are trying to respect the business health needs of Legends of Runeterra, right, as a game. And our core philosophy is ultimately around providing an experience that people feel is worth paying for. So, again, we don't view 6 stars as a necessary aspect of your experience in Legends of Runeterra. So we say, hey, would you like to pay for a 6 star? Would you like to skip a bunch of time, admittedly a lot of time, in order to get like all of your champs to 6 star? You can do so through pay, and that's like our like core principle philosophy. We don't gate the champion itself behind any sort of paywall. You can unlock them. You can get them to 0, 1, 2, 3 star with play at a reasonably expectation of engagement.
So I did notice there was like an immediate question to your answer. So
Sure.
I'm going to quickly answer this live question. If 6 stars aren't necessary for the experience, will you be reworking Pike's 6 star then? As a lot of us would probably say his 6 star is what makes his gameplay.
Yeah, that is. So I saw a few questions about reworking stuff, and I would say that there's been a few times where we've tripped and accidentally like put out a like Caitlyn's Relic or Pike 6 star in this example, where there are things that feel a little too fundamental to the kit, and that is not something that we want to repeat. So we now have that in mind when we are designing future relics and future 6 stars, that it needs to feel like an enhancement and not like a critical quality of life, like necessary power leap. I can take a double check at Pike and see what's going on. I don't know when we will return to these champions, but there have been enough questions about like not just making them feel better, but also their power level compared to new stuff that's coming out, that we should take a look at some point.
Yeah.
Awesome.
This is a live service game. We're doing things for the first time in many ways. We're going to make mistakes, and that's, I think, part and parcel of the game development experience. But we have the great benefit of being able to address those mistakes if players point them out and they feel strongly enough. So I think that's a really good question. I will also yet at the same time say, over time and over like concerted play, you should be able to earn the resources to get a Bilgewater Nova Crystal to unlock Pike 6 star for free. It's not a gated thing from a paywall perspective. It does mean you'll have to focus on that. You'll have to go to the glory store and use your glory to get those Bilgewater gold vessels and all that kind of stuff. So even if we do go back and address it sometime later, you can still get it for free.
Yeah, which before Spirit Blossom, there was no option to target a Bilgewater Nova crystal.
Mhm.
That was something that we had wanted to add, of like some ability to target specific regions as well as obtain signature relics for free.
Mhm.
So yeah.
And how do you do that, Brian?
In the Glory Store.
The Glory Store. Awesome. Thanks, y'all. We have like a few additional economy questions, and then we're probably going to take a few live questions for folks. That sounds good.
Yeah, of course.
Cool. All right. So will it be possible to get Spirit Blossom related content on the Emporium store, relics, shards?
Yeah, I mean, that goes into a bit of what you're talking about, of like seeing what the post-event economy looks like and making sure that continues to feel good.
Yeah.
So we are leaving the stuff that is still there. Both the Glory Store and the Emporium, what is currently there, will stay. Caveat that we are squishing the runic vessels into one combined runic vessel, just for ease of like under the hood stuff. So it'll have access to all of the legendary relics. But no, other than that, it's the same price. I believe the same availability as well.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And also, one, to the point that we've learned stuff from this economy and not feel satisfying, when we start introducing more Spirit Blossom resources into the different systems we've talked about, they will not just come in the chest form. We will get you ways to get directly Spirit Blossom crystals as, like, say, a direct adventure reward or quest reward. We haven't figured it out yet.
Yeah, because part of the problem with like putting star crystals directly on the event when it returns is that there will be some players who just don't need that.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to come up with a way where the player who is still behind on that, like, can, I don't know, maybe it is purchasing it from a shop or something like that. But the player who is maxed out on it still feels like the adventures are worth their time.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
There's more. So it's hard to condense down the math into character limit. So I'll just shorten it to with one chest a month and 0.25 Nova shards on average. It will take 33 years to get one crystal. Is this intentional? And if not, what changes do you intend to make upgrading Spirit Blossom units achievable for free to play?
Yeah. So I think we have addressed like this point in our previous answers. Like, yeah, the tuning that you see available from the sources that you know about, yes, it does feel like it's an extremely frustrating long amount of time. It doesn't seem reasonable, and that was a mistake on our part to not help better communicate early on. Free to play players will eventually have access to ways to speed up that rate of acquisition, for sure.
Right.
Like, yeah, again, we want to do the right thing by as many players as we possibly can through these choices, and that's why we haven't like locked into a year plan like now in this day, because the future will change, and especially what features we're able to release next year that will help even further push that is like a big part of it. So we can't tell you, oh, it's not actually 33 years, it's actually like some radically shorter amount of time, but we know it's going to be lesser, and we should have told players up front at the beginning, because we did know that.
Yeah, and I can start by saying in 610 the purchase limit is going to be 5 on those. So, and I can already see people being like, great, now it's only 6 years, but it's like, again, we aren't done.
Yeah,
It's the same with gemstones, where it was 13 years when it started, and then just has slowly decreased into a much more reasonable pace, and that's kind of the same plan we expect.
Yeah.
There was a question, will you consider letting AU champs use original 11 regions currencies instead, since you're already releasing more champs, increasing node costs, and making gemstone nodes more valuable? You should be making more money from selling gemstone Nova shard bundles.
Yeah, so the short answer is no. We do believe the Spirit Blossom region should be its own distinct thing. There's a lot of different like pros and cons to why that's true, but we think the pros definitely outweigh the cons by a pretty comfortable margin. And also identity-wise, it just feels right. That Spirit Blossom champs should have Spirit Blossom resources to do that. I do also want to touch on like we're making more money and stuff like that. And there was like a future, I'm going to jump ahead. I know there's like a question like, what are the financials like? How did Spirit Blossom do and all that stuff? And I think this question is a reasonable segue to that, which is Spirit Blossom as an event was our most successful like kind of business outcome event of the year. It was, and that means like actives and hours, like we talked about, but it was also revenue. So on that side, great.
Right.
On the other side of things, I don't think, that one event does not tell the whole story. So monetization is an ongoing thing, right? We are a game, we have costs, we've made changes that like kind of increase costs. Everything we do ultimately costs money. So for example, getting VO that already exists in League into our game, that even still costs money. You'd think like, oh, Riot already has it, but no, we want to pay more licensing fees for the actors, the voice actors who had signed up for one game, and they deserve to be paid fairly for their work in other places. So everything we do, even things that players might think are like, oh, free or cheap or whatever, it does cost money. And so monetization and revenue is part of the things that we need to do in order to help lore continue to grow. And what we've seen is that player assumptions around what continues to help us make money don't necessarily reflect the reality that we're aware about. So I think a good example, without getting too much detail, is like the Glory Store is a great feature that's been requested that we know we wanted and committed to very early on.
Yeah.
We want to make sure every aspect of the game, including signature relics, those champion epic relics, are free to play accessible. But they are also an incredibly important part of the monetization strategy for us. And, the Glory Store is going to impact that, in a materially negative way. And we are already seeing that. So, everything that has worked in the past is not continuing to work for us in the future in the same way. So we will always have to continue to evolve and grow with players on what is the best way to present content that players are willing to pay for. And things that worked 3 months ago, 6 months ago, 12 months ago do not work at all in the same ways.
As well as our goal is not like, okay, we hit our number, stay there. It's we're still having to do a lot of reuse and stuff like that. And like, I personally want to live in a world where I can request more new assets and like grow the team and like really expand this game into what I want it to be, and not just like live in kind of a more scrappy world.
The last thing I'll just kind of say is like look, we do fundamentally make this game for the players, and so if players are dissatisfied, we change so that players can be more satisfied.
Right.
And we will not always make decisions that are like great. Sometimes we'll make decisions that are frustrating, and we hear you, and we'll make changes to do that. But we will always be trying to balance the best outcomes we can get for players from an experience standpoint, from enjoyment standpoint, from loving the game, but also how we reach business viability for us. It is true that the way we make TPOC and the things we do today have outperformed some of the stuff in the past from like either the PvP or cosmetic side, but we still have a long way to go. And we ultimately, on the one hand, it's great. We are able to hire. We are finally like growing as a team, and that's really, really cool. That hasn't been true for a while, but we're still not at the place that we remotely need to be to get to the points that like Brian was talking about, like growing this team in a way that feels like we can deliver all the best stuff that we used to be able to before. And that's our goal. That is our goal. We don't want to sit in this world of having to reuse stuff as much as possible, and that can only come if we are like growing the game from a business standpoint.
Yeah, that's actually a really good segue into the team is kind of a unit of one, and there was actually a question about just the communication for the Spirit Blossom event, and I feel like this is a good natural segue.
Yeah.
So what are the steps the team is taking to improve how and what you are properly communicating with the players, as well as managing expectations? So we've mentioned a lot about the small but mighty lore dev team, but we haven't actually talked about the publishing lore team. It is me. I am the publishing lore team, so I'm in charge of the communications, the creative direction, the brand management,
cinematics, the music videos,
the things, and actually as like a unit, helping fund things like new in-game illustrations on the publishing side. So we're like combining forces in order to make the game as incredible as it can be. So the new level ups, for instance, that was me partnering with our incredibly talented tech artist. Like there's just so much passion from this team, and we will make it happen in whatever way we can. And so that also comes from the publishing side. So to kind of touch back on the original intent of the question, publishing also is a small but mighty team, aka myself. And so I'm still learning, and I really appreciate hearing folks' feedback, because without it, I can't improve the communication. So totally hear y'all and agree with improving and setting expectations through things like patch notes. And we know that y'all love previews and things like that. So especially when there's big changes like a Spirit Blossom event, we'll definitely make sure to set expectations ahead of time, especially, with some of the folks that were like, is AU events going to be the status quo forever? And so that was just a miss. And so definitely something we're going to improve on in the future.
Right.
Yeah. Are y'all down to take some live questions?
Yeah, let's do some live questions.
All right.
Yeah. All right.
Now that the softballs are out of the way,
The softballs.
now
Yes.
that the easy questions are done, let's do some things that really make us sweat.
Yes. I'm like, do I go with a troll question after that? No. Actually, this one's a little bit. Will we get more pet/summon champions like Annie? Are they difficult to design?
Pet/summon champions. I would say they're less difficult to design, actually, just because for free, it's like, well, here's another card that I get to put text on to build resonance. Like, no, I love the idea of more summon champions. So, and also, yeah, we want to put every champion in the game.
Yeah.
So like,
but it's cool to know that summon champs have some part of it that makes it easier design or more straightforward design. Or...
Yeah, I say easier, but also it's like, well, now there's another card that I need to figure out and do next time. But I like that stuff. So
yeah.
Awesome. Will there be any new Nightmare adventures?
Short answer, yes. Longer answer, none currently slated, but I do recognize that we keep putting the Nightmare stuff on events. So there's none slated for like the actual Nightmare layer right now, but every time an event returns, those adventures will return with more rewards. That said, that is the same content that you've played before. So new Nightmare adventures, again, none currently slated, but it is still top of mind.
Cool.
Yeah.
There was one that I saw coming in quite a bit. So any plans on releasing the game for Mac? I want to play the game on my MacBook.
Short answer is no. The middle answer is that supporting a new platform and a new SKU is way more expensive than players think. It's incredibly expensive from a tech development investment standpoint. It's not like dollars. It's the amount of bandwidth that would take our engineers to do that. And then it stays forever. Like you always have to update. You got a new build that's specifically for the MacBook or, Mac computers.
Right.
You have to do a whole bunch of stuff. Even in Unity, which is an engine that like makes those things easier, it's so much ongoing work, and it's a permanent addition to the time that an engineer on this team will have to like do forever. And I'm sorry, but there are not enough MacBooks currently in the world to justify that investment. So either we grow and get more folks to be able to support that, or Macs take over the world in terms of like total PC market share, and then we're like, oh well, we got to go there.
Yes, it's a bit more of a never say never in terms of like, if the game gets big enough, then it's possible that it does start to justify it, and we get big enough.
Yeah. And Macs get big enough.
Hey, Macs, wow, yeah, Apple's do pretty well, I think.
Not from a device share perspective.
A few trillion.
Sorry. Yeah, dollar wise, not amount of fair computers.
Also, the player that asked that said thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I'm
sorry.
I'm sorry. Okay. Do you have any plans on realizing Pantheon and Azir anytime soon?
I can neither confirm nor deny anytime soon.
Looking at your comms, lead, I'm like,
I can, but I'm choosing.
You can.
I can, but I'm choosing not to.
You can.
Oh,
just
one.
Just one.
Yeah, I think soon we'll be telling the people what we've seen today.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Tell the what about birds?
Don't get me started. Next question, please.
Yeah.
We are very subtle here. Will there be any adventure where you don't need to play other regions? I just want to spam the new champ in new adventures.
So I think the missing part of that is I want to spam the new champ in new adventures and still receive rewards, which because you can play the new champ in new adventures always. Yeah.
Yeah, they mentioned I feel bored to play back old champions.
Yeah, I mean there is. It's good to register this feedback because there is a conflict between like here are new champions, here are new adventures, but also you can't always combine them. Is a bit of an awkward tension. So yeah, that's something to think about a bit more.
Yeah.
There's
always going to be a lot of complexity around how do we make this. So in addition to being a card game roguelite, we're also a hero collector, right? Like in that genre, one of the primary challenges / interesting things we get to do is think about how do we make your hero collection, your roster, feel good and satisfying in all different ways, right? We know, for example, there are champs in Noxus that are stronger than others. Everybody talks about Swain, right? We know that Aesol is the best Targon champion by a comfortable margin. So when you see those pips in your adventures, you're like, I'm going to use those. I want to like make sure I just like beat those things.
Yeah.
And then that can in part contribute to this feeling, well, like I'm always using Aesol, I'm always using Swain as my like solutions for these problems that, lore is presenting as a thing. Conversely, we don't want to suddenly be like, oh, you got to use only like Annie for all these things, or you can only use Nami.
The new guy.
Yeah, especially if players are not enjoyers of Yumi. We don't want to put Yumi on every single adventure pip where you're like, you feel that way. So it's a tough balance. Like,
and I do think new adventures can recontextualize old champions if they have the right like adventure power. Like I think Seraphine has a very unique power, and hopefully made it more interesting to bring in old champs. And we, like you said, we want to recognize that like if you've been investing in your roster, when we put a 6.5 out that has a Bandle City like reward note on it, you're like, I've been preparing for this moment, time to bust out the guy, like get my Teemo going. There's a tension there, and what I'm registering is with the new champion, I want more places to play it. So maybe not the event adventures, but like there should be more places to play it.
Awesome. Thank you both. Sorry, there's a lot, so I'm trying to. Why is it strangely common to mulligan and get the exact same card?
Probably confirmation bias. I would say. Like, I think this comes down to like stats and a little bit of psychology, where you have multiple copies in your deck, so it can happen, and then you register less when it doesn't happen. But you register when it does happen. So those stick in your mind, and that slowly builds up until like this happens all the time.
Humans love patterns.
Yeah.
And when they see a thing that reinforces a pattern, they extra index on that.
Yeah. I can promise you that the mulligan is not tuned to if player name is playing, just screw them over and over again. We do not have.
Wait, we do that have
just for you though.
Yeah. I thought it was just for Dave.
Next question.
Apparently I'm having mic issues.
Oh.
So
you want this mic?
Hello. Yeah. Oh, is this working?
Okay.
Oh.
Okay.
Awesome. Cool. And thank you to those in the chat to let us know, because I can't hear myself in a weird way.
Shout out chat.
Shout out chat. Shout out chat. All right. Cool. Is there a possibility for co-op modes like labs before?
Ooh, this is something. So like way back when I joined the Path team. We pushed on a co-op initiative, and like unfortunately we didn't quite get it there for unfortunately just like production reasons. It wasn't necessarily like the quality of the mode, but it is kind of growing a little crusty on a branch. There's still like a lot of work to actually get it like live, but hopefully that signals like we have interest in it. We want to return to it at some point. We're excited about the opportunity. It's probably not coming anytime soon, but it is something that we're like, yeah, that could be really cool.
Soon TM.
Why did you say crusty? That's gross.
Sorry, I meant rusty. Rusty is
I was
probably
like,
better.
oh, Brian.
You mean like a pie crust?
Oh.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Snack time.
Mm.
It's never too early for pie. All right.
Never too late for pie.
It's never too late.
It's
for
always
pie.
the right time for pie.
Can you please make it possible to convert wildcards to higher tier?
Oh, yeah. So the issue is, right, somebody, it's actually hardest in our game to collect. This is a PvP thing. In our PvP collection, it is hardest to collect the epic cards. There's just so many of them. We give you, the weekly vault gives you a way to get legendary, like wild cards pretty easily, but there's no way to kind of force it to give you epic wild cards. So people are probably just sitting on like a bunch of commons and a bunch of rares and still unable to craft all of the epics, even though they've finished their commons and rares. This is kind of an unfortunate consequence of us just pivoting away from PvP.
Yeah.
Because normally you'd have more sets to absorb all of those things.
Right.
But we don't. So,
but if there are fewer cards, then they should be able to spend their commons and
they can't, like, if they're maxed out on commons and maxed out on rares,
yeah,
they can't craft epics with those materials.
Oh, right. But they are getting more green shards.
They are getting
they're
more
duping.
green shards
Yeah.
because of the dupage. But
Yeah.
it's just like, no player likes having any currency just like maxed out.
Right.
Slowly accumulating
Yeah.
with nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
So I can understand the disappointment there.
Yeah.
I unfortunately think it's just like a consequence of the system. All the cards are still accessible. It's just like not extremely efficient. So
Yeah.
my apologies.
I think it's a
Really.
good time, though, also to talk a little bit about PvP.
Yeah.
Just as a
Yes.
small update,
Yeah.
because I know
Perfect.
there are still many PvP enjoyers.
Read my mind.
So at the outset, I'll say our stance continues to be we're not going to put cards from TPOC into PvP. Pretty much.
There's been a bug where like
Yeah,
one or two
not-
are appearing.
not
so we gotta look
intentionally,
into
not
that.
intentionally.
Yes, not intentionally.
And I think hopefully players are kind of familiar with the reasoning for why that is, but I'll just kind of repeat it. It takes a lot to playtest PvP to make sure formats feel good and balanced. All the cards that are in the current ecosystem have been playtested by a robust, big ol' lore team, and so that's why we feel good about it. And we don't have those resources or that time to do that for future cards, even though players might say like, oh, hey, Warwick's not a complicated card, why not go in? We just don't want to disrupt the PvP ecosystem. There's like basically 3 outcomes that can happen if you introduce a card. It either is not that good a card, in which it has very little impact, in which case we spend a bunch of effort. It's not 0 at all to take a PvE card and make it right for PvP, in which case that was a waste of time.
Right.
It's too powerful, and we should warp the meta, and we'll probably have to undo all of our work. So we wasted a bunch of stuff without changing the PvP ecosystem. And then the third outcome is it has an acceptable level of impact on the meta where it's like perfectly balanced and it like creates a new archetype, but doesn't damage like the entire overall ecosystem. And we got there by luck because we never tested that card in the first place.
Right. Yeah. No, I think the follow-up would be like, well, if it's overpowered, just balance it. And it's like, we are not committing ourselves to balancing PvP. PvP is in a relatively balanced state, which there might be some PvP players being like, no, it's not.
Yeah.
But it like those cards have gone through hours of playtest and iteration focused on their PvP usage specifically. So they are within like an acceptable band. Whereas Warwick reads simple, would instantly dominate the meta. You'd play him in every PZ deck just because he is he doesn't use the stack. He's just an instant speed destroy. So we'd have to change him and add a skill, which would slow him down, which would make him worse in path. And we don't want to, that's the other reason we don't want to balance PvP cards, is because we're majority path now, and touching those does affect your experience in path. And we don't want to make that worse.
That being said, PvP audience has held really steady pretty much this whole time. Like y'all, we see you and we appreciate you. Like you're all there. The decline in PvP has basically been almost non-existent relative to our announcement. It's definitely less than it used to be, but nowhere near what you might expect. So super kudos there. And I will say we are looking at least some things we can do for PvP, which is quality of life improvements. I constantly see people saying, could we do the animation speed up?
Yeah.
So that's a thing we're going to test out and see if it like breaks anything. And then if not, so even though PvP is not our focus, and from a content perspective, we will only continue to support the standard rotations and stuff like that. We will look at ways in which we can keep PvP getting better from a quality of life experience, because we see it. The activity there is still really robust.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And also shout out Aegis, who runs our community-run tournaments. We fund them to have like actual cash prize pools. I wish I knew offhand where to check them out. Hopefully someone in chat can just like drop a link to their Discord or something. But yeah, they run weekly tournaments with like cash prize funded by us. And yeah, people kind of treat the PvP game like you would Smash Melee, where it's not going to receive updates, but it's still like a thing you can, really dive into. It's like a very complex, skill expressive PvP game. So it's been cool to see that take off.
Yep.
Totally. Also, No Shoes Vlad said, "Add fiddlesticks to PvP, ruin the game. I dare you."
Sure.
April Fools for one day.
April Fools.
Yeah.
It takes 2 sprints, three engineers.
Right. Someone quits over it.
The day we finally add Ash. All right. Okay, so I think we're gonna hit a few of the AU versus league mains questions that came in. So kind of some of the questions that Rad behind the camera told me this is how I should hold my mic, so there's no issues in case you're like, why is she holding the mic weird? So these are questions about AU versus league mains, and yeah, I'm just gonna go through them. Some of them were similar, so I'm gonna read through 3, but they're all generally the same. I would love for you guys to answer why you decided to release skin-based decks instead of releasing champions that aren't in the game. Was it due to synchronization with the League of Legends event, or was it for another reason? Bring normal champs to POC. I don't need a completely different region. I wasn't getting all those shards and resources. Just to be totally useless, don't dilute resources. What do you have to say to the fans who were disappointed with the AU rollout and want to see more Runeterra Prime champions?
No disrespect to players, but using complete sentences and proper grammar makes it easier to read these. So future AMAs, like you don't have to be like English elite teacher level, but it's hard to parse some of these sometimes.
Yes.
Okay, I'll start talking to spare you from what may be mic issues.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah. What would I say to people who are disappointed to see AU stuff is frankly there's more like Runeterra Prime coming for as far as the roadmap is currently scoped out, and it kind of has always been that way. We weren't expecting to go like AU into AU into AU. So it starts to sound weird when you say it repeatedly like that. But yeah, so it's that's something I think we could have been more clear on, is like it's going to be AU, for 6.8, 6.9, and then it's going to go back to Runeterra Prime for like quite some time. And then the other thing I would say is like, Spirit Blossom was really popular. There were a lot of players who came in specifically for those champions and loved like this new mechanical take and like the world that we fleshed out. So like we can't make everything for everyone. There will be, even within Runeterra Prime, there will be a champ that comes out. They're like, oh, I can't believe that they're doing, I don't know, Urgot instead of Akali, which again, Urgot instead of Akali is a crazy decision.
Yes.
But like, there are people out there, the one Urgot fan will be like, thank you for finally doing this. And I think like it's important for us, the bar can't be everyone loves everything, because that's impossible and I'll tear my hair out. But as long as everything has someone who like really loves it, like a lot of people who really love it, then that's something we should shoot for. So I'm sorry that you don't love AUs. You'll have Runeterra champs back for like at least as far as we planned out. But we also want to serve the players who love AUs.
Also, there's now a player spamming, I want Urgot. We found the Urgot fan.
I don't have an Urgot design ready, but I'll figure it out for you. That's him. That's the guy.
There's also Star Guardian Urgot request, which is amazing.
That one, I might have to pull some strings.
Challenge accepted.
Yeah.
Challenge accepted.
Somewhere there's an IP person, right? That's just like extremely
yeah,
upset.
ears burning.
Yeah, don't even know why. Cool.
And the mic is working.
Yay!
Nice. Yay! Awesome. And thank you. That was a wonderful answer. Okay, cool. And let me make sure I want to make sure we hit all of our economy questions, because I know folks really wanted
think
to
we
know
did
about
pretty
those. I think
good.
we covered most of it. Yeah.
Well, I
yeah.
also want to say that the conversation isn't done here. Like we want to continue to, if your question did not get answered, or if I said something confusing, which I was worried about doing, don't just like run with it as like this is now fact. Like feel free to follow up with us. I think maybe my Blue Sky might be in the description, or I'm on Reddit every once in a while. Okay, yeah. So yeah, conversation doesn't have to end here. There were how many questions?
Over 100.
Yeah, so we had no shot of getting to that and answering live questions within an hour. So yeah, please keep asking us stuff. I'll try to answer as much as I can.
There's one. Okay, so how much? We have 6 minutes left. So I'm gonna just.
We can't go a little longer.
I
think I'm.
Can you go? This happens every time.
I could
go a little longer.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna go a little bit longer for y'all. Rad, can you go a little longer?
Yeah. Okay.
Thumbs
All
up.
right. Rad's in.
Sweet. We're good.
Ben,
we're good. Let's go.
Okay.
We're going.
Okay. Ben. Okay. Ben's good.
Give the people what they want.
Cool. Just want to check with our crew.
I
Okay.
assume they want more of us.
Amazing. Yes. And if you don't, let us know in the chat. We'll just see ourselves out.
Let us know if you want us to shut up.
Okay. Awesome. So I think we'll go up until 12:30 just to give us a new time. Okay, so economy, we already hit that. So champ kit design for Spirit Blossom AUs.
Oh, yes.
I'll read I think there were just like a few. So why 0-star Spirit Blossom Kindred's deck doesn't include Beast card, but her support pack for other champions has Beast card. She is the only champion that cannot level up with her own deck. What is the Riot design philosophy for this?
Yes. The design philosophy, in short, is that 0-star is not an experience that we care to support. Champs are at 0-star for a very, very limited amount of time. We don't find them super interesting in that time. So we're unlikely to make changes to ensure that they always function at 0-star. It's actually why in Spirit Blossom, even though we were increasing the frag costs of some nodes, the 1-star stayed at 10 because it's like we don't want you spending a lot of time at 0-star. So the support kit has the Beast included because obviously without the powers you need access to the Beast. But the full champion itself, we just like want you to skip straight to 1-star. Hopefully in the future, this is something we've been discussing for like quite some time. We can find an opportunity to just be like, when I unlock a champ, it is at 1-star, which should actually enable us to maybe do some of the alternate win con champions who might need like passives to hold them back. So we can let them try to win their alt win con dream in the craziness that is Path. But we haven't quite crossed that bridge yet.
Awesome. Thank you. There was one or maybe two more about champ kit design. So is it intended for Spirit Blossom Yasuo to not have a secondary region? If so, will you consider giving him a secondary region in the future? Feels kind of sad he's the only non-dual region champ.
It wasn't intended.
Mistakes were made.
Mistakes were made. He's supposed to be Ionian. I believe that is coming out in the next patch, which is like 2 weeks from now.
I mean,
October
this is what happens when we let Spirit Blossom and Yoni make decisions.
Yeah. No,
He's
supposed to be Spirit Blossom Ionian and will be shortly.
And I have one more for you. Any chance we'll see some of the new 4-star powers that Spirit Blossom champs have entered the general pool? Evelyn's Bathe in Blood, Teemo's Pilfered Plans, and Kindred's Overkill all feel like they'd be fun and generally useful enough to be worth including in the rotation.
Any chance? Yes. If we design a power, we might as well, and runes like are powers effectively. Anytime we design a power, it behooves us to use it like as much as we can. I don't think that we've necessarily done a pass on those to be like, okay, which ones go in the pool? We kind of wanted runes to feel like the place to get them right now. It's a good chance, honestly. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you. I'm going to hit a few of the live questions now. So I'm just going to be kind of bouncing back and forth. Can you reduce countdown timer for the Glory store and the Emporium store almost a whole month to get an epic relic? It's frustrating, and there are so many relics, you just can't get the relic you want.
Can reduce the.
They want like at least for the Golden Reliquary to go down from 28 days or 30 days.
Oh, so not the glorious. Well,
it's
kind,
both.
Kind of both.
Kind of both. Yeah.
Yeah, that's something we should talk about further, because generic epic relics have become basically more and more difficult for us to design. And so you've probably noticed that we've slowed down in our release of those. It's not like it'd be more fun to have more of them in there, but in terms of like where we're spending our design bandwidth, they end up eating a lot for what they do.
Yeah.
So the pool as it stands is something that we are happy with for now. It doesn't mean that we won't release more, but if we release more, then letting you be able to just kind of like snap them up instantly removes a little bit of like that feeling of progression of just like working towards something. I'm not 100% sure where I stand on this stuff.
There's I'll speak a little bit more to the Golden Reliquary. So from a game design long-term view of the player journey perspective, it's important that we like gradually introduce complexity. Right? Like it's not actually a good experience for someone to get every single card at every single rarity with every single epic relic at every single moment right out the start and say, go. That's actually a bad player experience. For a veteran person who knows all these things already, that feels good. And that's why you work toward that state. But we do want to think about every part of players' journeys. And so the new player should not get access to a whole bunch of epic relics, which radically change builds when they don't even understand yet how to play the game. So gradual introduction of complexity, and epic relics are complex, which is why we see lots of cool threads on Reddit about, hey, what's the right build for this new champ with these new things? So that's one part. From a different aspect, epic relics represent some of the most powerful things you can do in the game, and we don't say charge you money for them.
Right.
Like, so there is a degree to which, as you want to get access to more stuff in the game, we ask you, the player, to put in some sort of like effort to make that happen. So one of those ways is to log in like every month to get the cool new thing. And both of these things work in tandem.
Right.
Of course, not everything is like that. But in the case of epic relics, because of the high bar of what they represent from the power expression, as well as the complexity it introduces, we feel like the current pace for golden reliquaries feels like a reasonable way to do it. We could convert it where they're all in like, a golden reliquary and just can only spend money in order to buy them. And we're not going to do that.
But it's also important to register like this person is saying this because the experience is frustrating. So it's like, what are ways that we can unfrustrate the experience? I've seen some suggestions about using the pick 3 tech that we have from Prismatics, where it's like, oh, you open it and at least you aren't just like given something random. You can pick one of 3. Again, I wish tech could just like easily translate like that. If it could, we would have done that already.
Right.
But it is like, I like the idea. I think that is a better experience for those generic epics. And so in lieu of that, like, it's easy to say 1 month and it's got the number 1. It feels short, but like a month is a long time.
It is.
So maybe there are ways that we can like, you can buy 2 per month or something, or like, I'm not sure. It's something we need to look at, but like you said, there are considerations for player complexity, kind of like, we want it to be something that feels like it's worth coming back for. So there's a lot of factors.
Yeah. And in the case of golden reliquaries, we do let you pay sometimes for certain ones of those things. They are in the Emporium. So different people who have different ways of wanting to acquire content, we have some of those avenues. It's good feedback. We'll like you said, we'll think about it. But we do have reasons for why we've done it in these certain ways for now. And they were like, I think, reasonably considered. And it will take a lot of more reasonable consideration to see whether we change it up from that.
Right.
This is, I think, a question bouncing off of that regarding Glory Store Relic. Can the not bought relics not appear again, at least for a while, reduce timer on the weekly reset, or having an option to banish the relic that you can later re-enable?
Yeah. It was intended that you would not see the same relic again for a while. So that might have not quite made it in. I know we have that tech, so I need to double check about like what state it's in. That's probably the simplest one. I know that there might be some situations where it's like, oh no, here's Starforge gauntlets, and I bought the last thing, so now it's going to disappear, and it's going to disappear for a while, which is also not like a great feeling. So yeah, there have been talks about like ways to maybe, you could spend 20 glory to re-roll the bucket, right? And like
It's a new feature
see
too,
something new.
so.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a new feature. You've had it for a month, but it is something we want to continually invest in. And I can imagine that the Glory Store next year will look like, at least somewhat different, and will continue to evolve. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Have there been considerations for implementing an achievement system with wacky/hard to do challenges in them?
Yes.
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 I made all of the current achievements in our game, and it's very fun. Our quest system is kind of outdated. It's not my favorite thing to work with.
You are so kind when you say it that way.
as well as like what we need to solve is the presentation of them, because like I want to add a bunch of goofy achievements, but it would fill your quest log, and like I don't want you having to like scroll for a full minute to get to the achievements. Nor would I want to like make them hidden achievements, because I'm not a huge fan of that personally. But it is something that I've been talking about with our UX designer Sweta about like how could we possibly have just like more cool little objectives, Easter eggs, track your feats if they're super challenging and stuff like that.
I either want like the champ mastery page we have converted into like an achievements thing checklist, but that's like really hard because we looked at that, or like on every champion's like main constellation page, there's like a new thing that says achievements at the bottom, and it's just like a cool checklist of like basic things. Everyone's going to say beat Lysandra with this champion, but then there might be like a extra specific one for Yumi or whatever.
Right. Yeah, like a Teemo specific achievement that's just like plant 1 million shrooms in one game,
exactly.
Stuff like that.
Exactly.
Challenge accepted.
Right. And in one turn.
Yeah.
It's been done.
Yeah.
Has it been done? I just made that up.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Probably.
Good job, player.
We have a lot of content now. All right.
Oh, one quick one I'm going to answer for everyone. There's been lots of questions like, will you put X League main into the game? I saw like Cassiopeia and Hui. Yes. So you don't have to ask that one anymore.
Yeah.
It will happen.
I've also seen some people be like, what about current non-champions?
Yeah.
Promoting Zolani and Cythria and stuff like that. And it's like, we want Chip as a champion at some point.
Yeah.
Legends of Runeterra.
Finally a champion stronger than 4-star Asol.
Yeah, just Chip. Chip is the only one.
1-star Chip.
Yeah.
Just
a war criminal.
Galactic being of unlimited power. Not
stronger than
Asol. Contained in this dense object.
Yeah. Chipped at a neutron star.
Yeah.
Actually, on that note, that's a really good segue into going back to some of the earlier questions. So there was questions surrounding the around game feedback. So the new Rune system UI feels cluttered and visually inconsistent with the rest of the game. Do you have plans to redesign it so it better matches the clean look and feel of lore overall?
So this is interesting feedback. And to be honest, not stuff that's come up very often. So that I did one was like, oh, okay. I'll definitely say up front is that the information we try to convey on that page is a lot. It's a tough space to be in fundamentally. So we definitely put a lot of work to make sure the different states like owned versus bounded versus equipped, and then the currency amounts you have, the balance of runes you do have, and all that stuff is like conveyed in the most effective way possible. So it's a page that's doing a lot of work that's really hard to do well. And I think we did a pretty decent job. So this was interesting feedback. Like, I think what I'd ultimately say is we'll take a look and we'll think about it, but we already had done a bunch of work to get it to the place where it is. It's something we'll take back, but I definitely don't think it's like a yes or anything.
No,
like
there aren't plans.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Oh,
look at you.
I just pasted the whole chat in the doc. That's not what you want. All right.
Chat.
Shout out chat. All right. I'm just gonna hop around a
Sure.
little bit.
There's one I said, like, I saw that, like, why don't you have paid adventures?
Oh yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So I think that's interesting. But this lets me nerd out a little bit about product stuff.
Yeah, go for it.
Right. So in principle, it's definitely a place to think about and explore, but you have to do a lot of considerations about like how much, like what is that value to a player? How many people would actually pay for it? If we charged like 1 cent, yeah, probably people would do a lot, but would it be the amount worth the effort
Right.
that comes back from it? Like probably not, right? Certainly at certain price points, it wouldn't make sense. So, and that's true for like all content kind of things that ultimately get decided. I'll give you like a pretty good example. So we have a whole bunch of bundles for Spirit Blossom. One of them is that welcome bundle that I like, the price for that is 190 coins. So a lot of people bought it. It's like not even close to our remotely successful bundle. Right. It's like, way down in the bottom, like, fifth of bundles in terms of revenue generation for us. So I think a lot of players have assumptions that like if you price things cheaply and a lot of people buy it, it like will do well. And that's just time and time again proven not true.
Right.
So then if I'm talking about, well, all right, if doing a paid adventure for super cheap won't be super great, what will I charge for it? And it's like, oh, maybe I charge like say $50 for it. Well, who wants to pay $50 for an adventure that you have all these great adventures for free that you can do repeatedly with a whole bunch of champs?
Right.
So like, what's the value proposition for a person to do a paid adventure? So it's a good idea to explore on its face, but then you have to think about for the person who's being asked to spend like $1 or $5 or $50 for that thing, are they really getting like their money's worth? Does that experience like is that like 50 times better than a current adventure? If not, then why wouldn't I just play a regular free adventure that gets released like every month?
Yeah, as a designer, if you told me like, hey, we're going to release a $50 adventure, I would be like, I don't know how to make an adventure feel worth that much. Like my first thought would be like, well, it would just be really rewarding. Like that's a shortcut to do it. But at that point, you're just like buying stuff with extra steps. I don't love the idea. I would so much prefer that like our adventures continue to be free. I know Hearthstone, I think, tried paid adventures for a bit and ended up like winding them down because it didn't make sense from a product standpoint.
Yeah. If we could do it for absolutely free, I still don't like from a development standpoint.
Oh, okay.
Like if it didn't cost us, like we just snap our fingers as devs to make it, I still don't think it would necessarily be a great idea, because we'd rather just like you play your champs in as many adventures as you can.
Right.
And it doesn't feel like a great thing experience wise, but it's a great idea to start with and think about. So I'm not saying like it was a bad idea to conceptualize. We come up with ideas that we end up rejecting all the time, but we start from a place. So I think it's really good to like think about it and suggest it, but there's a lot of like questions you have to ask yourself to finally be like, well, yes or no to that decision.
Right.
And that comes both from a game design lens and a product lens when you make these calls, specifically around monetization.
Thank you both. There's a question about legend level cap increase. There's folks that are reaching 80 soon.
Of course.
Cool.
We love it.
When we kind of love it. We're happy with the amount of gameplay that you're enjoying. But I know that there was frustration last time we reached 11 level cap. I never really want to spend like design resources on it. So like I've had in my head, if it was more of like an Overwatch style, like you reach the end and kind of start to like rotate around through a set of loot. And I actually think like something like that would feel better because we could update those rewards so that they're actually relevant. Because right now I know that if you're like maybe legend level 40, some of the rewards you're getting are relevant to a path of champions, like a pre-constellation path of champions, where it's like, look, a gold vault. And you're like, I eat gold vaults for breakfast. This is so boring. But that said, that takes effort. So in the short term, extending it, probably likely. I don't want you to have the frustration of hitting the cap. I think we're at about the year since the last time we did it, and that's how long we had planned for it. But in the longer term, I would love for it to be just like more relevant and make more sense to you. It's rough with some of these like inherited features where it's like we're sustaining something that like doesn't 100% make sense for like what we would want our full package to be. Yeah.
Cool.
Also, what I said was just an idea, not planned, not a roadmap at all. Just thoughts in my brain, my designer
Don't
brain.
quote him.
Yes,
We're doing it live.
Doing it
coming next
live.
patch. No.
Awesome. This is actually a question that came in earlier, but also I've noticed folks asking in the chat, so I will cover it now. Has it been considered to do an endless adventure or an offline mode, since the game is PvE centered, being able to play POC without being connected all the time?
So endless adventure and offline mode are two different things. Offline mode, answer is real simple, no. Offline modes will not happen primarily because it will mean that people can hack the client into an experience that allows them both to basically cheat themselves all the content for free and introduces a high risk of players getting malware. Like, low people who don't exactly know will click on the wrong thing, install a game that's like, hey, it's Legends of Runeterra, but it's actually a hacked APK that has like malware and stuff like that. Happens all the time across a bunch of things. I even see it like on Steam, which has like a better reputation for protection and stuff. So yeah, being online all the time protects players, and it's an important security device for them, as well as like not allowing you to like hack yourself to give yourself infinite number of coins. So there's a lot of considerations there for why offline mode will not happen. Endless mode, on the other hand, being able to play all the time, very different, and we do have ideas for that.
We do have ideas for that, yes. Nothing concrete or in like the very near future, but there's a feature that has been repeated very regularly, like a drumbeat that would be, I don't know if it was, I don't know if it exactly was infinite, but also like every time we discuss it, it kind of changes in form. But at some point it was like a place to kind of infinitely push yourself as far as you could go. So yes, it is something we are, putting design cycles on occasionally.
Amazing. Also, I have to call this one out. Will we get a Poro Queen? That is a great question, and I would love that. So just Poro Queen. Don't quote me, but yes, that sounds great.
Talk to the IB team about
gotta manifest that. Gotta manifest that.
Manifest the Poro Queen.
Yeah.
All right, awesome. Thanks, y'all. Okay.
I love that question. It's great.
It was a great question. Is there any intention to add another region that isn't an AU?
I see. There's a Void fan out
A
Void. So one thing that was like a nice byproduct of Spirit Blossom is we broke the rust off of adding new regions to the game, and so we kind of remember like that flow and that impact, and it is something that we could consider. However, there was a question earlier about Spirit Blossom like dilution. Adding a 12th region into like the set of regions you can get will like, slightly reduce the chance of all the other things. And like that kind of dilution is not something like going from 11 to 12, probably fine. Thinking about the slippery slope of like, okay, what about when that's 20 regions? And yes, we have the glory store to like help mitigate that somewhat, but you still do open a lot of like chests that randomly pick the region. It also does add a little like level of complexity and confusion. There's now a new region to just like consider if you are a new player, but it's not off the table.
This actually plays really nicely into a question that we received earlier of, could the UI in the world adventure map be improved so it can be less cluttered with the adventures not cleared with that champion, like in the nightmare maps or the event maps?
Yes, absolutely yes. It's definitely one of my biggest pet peeves of the game, and Suida has Figma's all ready to go.
Suida's our UI UX designer, for those who don't know.
Figma is a tool where you make UXs.
Why don't players know all the things I know? Why would I need to explain nouns and verbs and proper names? So yes, we won't fix it for sure.
Cool. Will you add a way to claim all the quest rewards in one go? There's too much clutter between the single rune vault, the single daily vault, and the glory quest XP.
So this is like end of run screen stuff. Yes, I do believe that we have very recently allocated some time for like some end of run acceleration stuff. So I don't know the exact status of that, but like, again, I mentioned before, quests are not my favorite thing to work at. They are very old tech. So getting in there and improving it might take a little longer than expected, but it is, yes, that flow is starting to get like a little long.
Yeah. Awesome. Any chance Mbessa, Mel, and Warwick and future non-SB champions will receive current Spirit Blossom level up animation treatment? It is so simple yet so effective.
Yeah. The short answer is, actually, I'll take it back. There is no genuinely short answer. We love that the player feedback around the Spirit Blossom level ups was generally quite positive. We certainly agree that we like it more than the original generic level up we had with Warwick and Bessa. We think it's probably players are telling us that it's also better than the kind of like regional based one where we have for Pilgrims on. So I would say we aspire to that. But the time around being able to do that is pretty limited. It was, Loeb can speak very strongly to how much effort it was and how long it took to get those Spirit Blossom champs level ups the way they were. Like it took months and months and months and months of work. And so if we are getting to a point where we're going to start introducing brand new to lore champions like Shaco, Karki, Dr. Mundo, Rakan Azaya, like, Cassiopeia, Hui, all these champs, that's a lot to do in a year. So we got to like start getting the resources and spreading that out over time that we can do it sustainably. We can't do 36 of those champions in 1 year.
Right.
Like that's just not possible right now with this team. It's probably not possible even the old size lore team. That's an enormous amount of content to make in a short amount of time. But we want to do it more than 6 times a year. So we love that you guys love it. We think it is a better experience and we want to do it too. So we're going to try. We just don't know exactly what timing, and we don't know which champions when get applied at this moment.
And they're super fun to work on, so we'll definitely look into it and see, what's possible. Because we also just have such awesome card art, and so adding motion to it is always just really exciting to see. So we're with you there. I saw a question coming through about.
Is there a hard one yet?
Is there a hard?
Everything's just hard question. Everything's just
hard
question. We didn't answer the Poro Queen question.
That was a tough one.
We manifested it.
She's coming soon.
Oh no! Release the Poro Queen.
Release the Poro Queen.
Hashtag release the Poro Queen.
Oh my gosh.
Boy.
You heard it here first. Okay, so this is actually about rune stars. So how do you plan on implementing rune stars for the normal regions? Do you plan on releasing region by region each patch? Sorry, this is 3 questions. I'll ask the first one. How do you plan on implementing rune stars for the normal regions?
Well, the second one I think kind of fits into it.
Do you want me to say all 3?
It seems like, go
okay, cool. So first
just read the last one.
The last one is, will each region get a legendary rune for each champ in that region?
So the plan is not settled for this. However, we have built this feature, so it makes sense to like reuse it for the existing roster of champs. What we don't know are the details of like rune acquisition. So that's still something to figure out. However, they probably won't. We almost certainly won't drop all 11 existing regions at once, because that is a lot of content to push through at once. And when we do a lot of content at once, they're way more likely to make mistakes. So it might be like batched into a few regions at a time, and then. The like legendary per champion, not sure yet. I think we'll want to talk more about like how that felt for Spirit Blossom and whether we want to commit to that or whether legendary should feel like a little less targeted, because maybe that's what signature relics are for.
Right. Just all Shuriman champions, all Shuriman units get +5/+5.
As a rune?
Sure.
This is why I'm the designer.
Fine. +6/+6.
+6/+6. This is actually a great question and something that is like I've seen in multiple earlier questions and the live chat. So questions about, I don't know why I would keep saying that, questions about maybe giving us some options to change our starting deck to some degree. And while I'm at it, maybe more pre-adventure customization in general.
Yeah. So there's a tension between like the pre-adventure customization and power and like the rogue light part of like how much kit you are bringing in. And like, you know, if you love card games, then I recognize that that kind of deck customization is where you do your self-expression. Like that's a big part of why people play card games. It's like, this is how I show myself. These are the combos that I want to do, or this is the play style that I want to have. But you are bringing it into an adventure that is trying to present you random things and entice you with them to also add a bit of modification to how you were playing. Like it wants to ask you to adapt and like see something. That's where like a lot of our variety comes from. So right now, as it stands, like we've said, epic relics are really powerful. You can pretty much force exactly the playstyle you want and kind of ignore the cards in the run, which is not ideal. Yeah, it's part of the reason we designed some of the minor star powers of like cards you acquire in run have additional item. But in terms of changing the starting deck, that's why we did something like draft, like to present, you know, like what if you could have a completely different playstyle from the start. Granted, that is not the same amount of customization that you are asking for, but I just thought I'd like pull it back into like what elements are fighting against each other. Currently, the deck that you bring in already has items attached to it, so it is pretty hard to get you to want to have new cards. So letting you customize that further would make that even harder, where you would just be frustrated at every reinforcement that the game forces you to take. I know some people already would rather skip those, but they're kind of they're what adds texture to a run. So we're in kind of a delicate balance there. Yeah, haven't quite figured that one out.
Yeah, sameness over runs is actually bad.
Yeah.
Even though you think you're like, oh, I just want the best configuration, that actually in the long term is less interesting.
Right.
Yeah. A player said, totally agree.
Yeah, great.
Let's do like one or two more.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Time.
Thank you.
This is lunch for us.
Yeah.
So
yes.
But also want to just like,
yeah,
the last thing.
Yeah. All right. So we have one. Was there a question in particular that?
No.
Okay. So boo, 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 boo. Let's see. There's so many. Okay. Oh, will we get more difficult adventures to make it more exciting to use our higher starred champions? Currently, even the highest difficulty content is too easy for the highest star champions.
So, yes, there was also, I remember a question about de-starring and whether the rune tech could be used for de-starring. So I'm going to fold that in there as well, because that de-starring question is ultimately saying the same thing, which is there is content in the game that I am not finding difficult enough for me to progress my champions. And that is just not a world that we want to live in. But when we release very difficult content, there are players who struggle a lot with that. And we know that, like, if you're putting out a 6.5 star, there are players who may not have the skill to beat that even with a 6 star. I know we're getting a lot of our questions from socials, and I want to recognize that if you are a player who is engaging with social media for any game, you are probably one of the better players of that game. You are a gamer. You are like continually showing up. You're talking about the game. You're thinking about the game.
Should have for an AMA on a work day.
On a work day, yeah. There are a lot of players who are not that, though. And so for us to ship 7.5 stars, 8 stars, that does cater to the people on Reddit who are asking for these things. But there's a lot of players who would find de-starring a pointless and unfun feature. Like, they bought this cool power and now you're just telling them they can turn it off. Like, why would they do that? It just doesn't make sense. So we are thinking about other ways that you could modify the challenge that you're going into in a way where that is not the only difficulty set for players. Like, ways you can maybe stack more challenge on top of an adventure for fun that might involve maybe nullifying some of your powers, but it probably is not going to be like full de-starring.
Gotcha.
Uh-oh.
There's a mic issue. Is it mine? Oh.
Just hand it over. No. Hand it over to.
Oh, Brian.
Yeah.
Cool.
You don't need to repeat the answer. It was perfect in every way. And
Was it? Hopefully, it was picked up.
Oh, actually, no, they didn't hear.
Oh crap! I said so much.
I know.
it was immaculate. It literally solved every problem in the world.
Christ.
It's crazy how well this game at that.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah.
We still have a few minutes. So
Yeah.
and we can do a summary version.
Oh my god. Remind me of the question because I just like blacked out.
No, I totally get that. I do that a lot on these. Okay.
It was about de-starring and
Right,
difficulty
and
our
adventure
chance.
difficulty.
Adventure-
Thank you.
thank
I'm
you.
clearly getting hungry. So yes, there are. Did they already hear the part where? Do they just want me to say?
Do the TLDR. Do
Yeah.
the TLDR.
People on social media, you are better at the game than other people. So the things that you are asking for will have like different focuses. It's not necessarily representative of the full player base that we're trying to serve, who would not enjoy if we released 7.5 star, 8.5 star, 9-star adventures. So we are talking about ways where players can optionally modify difficulty in a way that might nullify their star powers or counter them without like literally just like removing them, because a lot of players would not really use that feature. There are a few that would, but there are a lot who'd be like, why would I buy a star just to turn it off? So yeah, I think that captures it.
Good job.
Wonderful.
It's weird that you cut out the world peace part, but it's fine. It's
Yeah,
fine.
it was
It's fine.
TLDR. I'm
It's fine.
you
I
know,
want world
can't-
peace. Okay, awesome. Well, we are at time, y'all. Thank you so much for joining us
Yeah.
for this AMA, and really appreciate y'all's feedback. It only allows us to improve the game
Yeah.
that we all love so much. So really thank you for taking the time.
Yeah, I definitely want to say that. Like it's important that y'all. What?
I
Why-
didn't
She
have
just
a
said all
mic.
that with
I
no
didn't
mic.
have a mic.
It's weird that you also solve world peace.
Yeah, I did say
Everyone's good
world
at that.
peace. Yeah.
I have no world peace solutions.
Yeah.
But what I'll say is to echo what Lope did actually say is thank you so much for players to give us continually this feedback. It's the most important part of our jobs is to listen to what you guys are doing from a feedback perspective, and there's nothing you guys can say that isn't helpful. We'll listen. We may not always give you a response that you're like super thrilled about because we have a lot of considerations,
Right.
but your feedback's super important to us. And I want to make sure people get the good takeaway from here that we've heard you on Spirit Blossom. And while we can't do a ton of fixes in the immediate moment based on the frustrations you guys are feeling, which we think are valid or have like good points, we're taking those lessons away. Future AU events, which will not happen in this form.
Mhm.
We'll continue to be delivering your mains at the pace that we can as fast as possible within all of our kind of like different constraints. But we're also ultimately trying to build a game that lasts for years and years and years. And that means making AUs. That means like continuing to evolve and do better on monetization and engagement and all the things that like ultimately have you coming back and supporting this game that we know you guys love. And we'll always try to do that as to the best of our ability. And that comes from conversations with you guys about these things. So, I have said this before, I always say it is a privilege to work on a game as awesome as Lore, and it's a privilege to work for players that are as passionate as you guys. And so just keep that passion coming, and that's why we're here.
I don't think I could say that any better. Yeah.
You solved world peace.
Wow, just playing Lore is solving world peace.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, y'all.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 My mic is the best.
Yeah, clearly.